Here's the windup. Fastball hit deep to right. This could be it. Way back there. Holy cow! What's the matter? Look at that ball out there. Holy cow! What a shot! Another standing ovation for Roger Maris. 51 home runs, and they're still fighting for that ball out there. People are finding
I was 13 years old, and that was the greatest summer of my life. It seemed to me as if Roger or Mickey was hitting a home run every other day.
When Mantle got hurt and couldn't play any more than 61, and then of course Maris went ahead and ended up with 61, and Mantle finished with 54. Mantle was crying. Johnny said that Mantle actually cried when Maris broke that Babe Ruth record.
On October 1st, 1961, against the Boston Red Sox, Roger Maris hit his 61st home run to beat Babe Ruth's record for the most home runs in a single season.
Him going through what he went through was not easy. And you need a strong family, a supportive family, because when you leave that ballpark and you come home, you really, as an individual, you really don't leave that ballpark because the press keeps you there and all of that pressure and that type of thing. But when you come home, that's where Roger found his solace when he came home, because he had the support of his family.
Roger's time in New York was, I'm sure, hard because he didn't have his family around, which he really appreciated. I was expecting Randy, and we left for spring training. And I normally didn't go, but I did go that year. I had 3 little ones and Randy on the way. So we got towards spring training in Florida, and he was giving some problems, so we didn't know if I'd be able to carry him or not. It was pretty hard for him then, too, thinking about the baby and also thinking about baseball. Randy came a month early, so I was able to go see Roger.
I think one of the most telling things about Roger Maris is after he rounds the bases following his 61st home run, head down as if it was the 16th home run, not the 61st. They practically have to push him out of the dugout onto the top steps, and then sheepishly he removes his hat and kind of quickly waves and then ducks back down into the dugout. You know, today, guys take 5 curtain calls for a sacrifice fly. This guy had just eclipsed Babe Ruth, but he was so self-effacing and so loath to put himself above his teammates and above the game that they had to convince him that this was his moment on center stage and he should embrace it.
Roger Eugene Maris was born on September 10, 1934 in Hibbing, Minnesota. The family later moved to Fargo, North Dakota in 1942. He attended Shanley High School, where he excelled in football, basketball, and baseball. It was in the 10th grade when Roger met his future wife, Patricia, at a high school basketball game.
As far as a person who everybody looked up to in this community, he was a great football player. He once scored 6 touchdowns in one game. Very good basketball player. Then, of course, baseball. Everybody knows his situation there. Shanley High School, and of course, ended up playing for the Fargo Moorhead Twins.
Well, Roger played here in Fargo in 1953, and he was the Rookie of the Year in 1953. I came to Fargo in 1954, a year behind Roger, and I was the Rookie of the Year. And we wanted to get to the major leagues, but we had this camaraderie going, and we would chat, and he was from North Dakota, and it was the first time I had been in North Dakota. So yeah, we started chatting, and we always had something to talk about right away, and it was Fargo.
I've been to Fargo several times for the Roger Maris golf tournament and various fundraising events, and the sense of pride and real connection is something you can feel. Many of the people there knew the Marises personally. They went to high school with Roger and Pat. They remember growing up with them. And the fact that they always embraced their hometown, always embraced their roots, never moved beyond it in their own minds or got too big for it, is something that really matters to the people in Fargo.
Our paths didn't cross until we were sophomores in high school, and he came to Shanley High School. Of course, we graduated together. He took my job at the floral shop, and there were quite a few girls that worked down there, and he used to tease them all the time.
I remember attending a screening of Billy Crystal's movie 61 at the Fargo Theater, the same theater where Roger and Pat went on dates when they were high school kids. That's a kind of authenticity and a kind of connection to something that goes back more than half a century that you don't find very much anymore. And it lends a real feeling of genuineness to the whole circumstance when you come back to Fargo.
He did receive a lot of awards, which people don't realize, and there was so many things, and it got, you know, a little overwhelming, and we talked it over, and this was before Roger died, and he said, you know, there's so many people that don't get to see, you know, like your MVP plaques and your this and that, and he said it would be really nice to put it up in Fargo where people could see it from that part of the country. And but he wanted a place where, you know, people didn't have to pay a fee to go in and see it, that they could just, and so that's how we happened to put it at West Acres, and they've done a good job at keeping everything up.
Housed in the West Acres Shopping Center in Fargo, the Roger Maris Museum opened in 1984. The glass-enclosed museum allows visitors to relive Roger's legendary life every minute the mall is open.
Well, he'd obviously be very proud. He was there when they did street dedication, the park, the gardens, you know, obviously involved in his museum, and those were nice things that he was very proud of.
But of all the awards that Roger Maris was given, only one thing could make his life complete.
They described Roger Maris as a family man, and I thought that was pretty unusual for a baseball player to be described as a family man.